What's up guys, I'm back after quite a long time to bring you guys, what else, more cancelled Super Sentai series. You know, I couldn't believe after the first two parts of this series that there would be any more. I thought that was the end of cancelled Super Sentai, but of course there just so happened to be, so you guys are in luck because we're going to be going over them today. This time guys, I think we have some of the coolest conceptualizations we've looked at so far. And what's actually really interesting is that the time I made my first video, some of these I wouldn't have even been able to have talked about because of how recent they are. But enough talk, it's time for you guys to see. Let's get into it. So Denshiman Trigger probably sounds familiar to a lot of you, as the actual 1980 Sentai we got was titled Denshi Sentai Denshiman. Now what this Denshiman Trigger actually is and how it's different from Denshiman ties into the whole Marvel and Toei deal of the late 70s and early 80s. So the reason Marvel was working with Toei in the first place was to bring over their already existing superheroes to the Japanese market as a new place for them to potentially succeed. So the two companies created a Spider-Man tokusatsu, attempted to create a Captain America tokusatsu, although that ended up becoming Battle Fever J, and then in 1980 there was a lot of split vision as to what Marvel and Toei should do, which created a very wonky production cycle. The plan at first was to go back to adapting singular Marvel characters that already existed, since Battle Fever J became a new property akin to Go-Ranger on its own when it was supposed to be Captain America. Marvel and Toei at the time were feeling either doing The Incredible Hulk or Silver Surfer, and then the show that ended up coming out was Denshiman, which, what? How is this anything like Marvel heroes? I mean, at least with Battle Fever J, you could see how it came from Captain America, but this just seems like another Go-Ranger. Well, actually, Queen Hadrian is based off of Hela, so the connection somehow is there. But how exactly do we bridge from a planned adaptation to Denshiman? Well, that's where Denshiman Trigger comes in. We know that this series was the plan during the middle of the production cycle, and based on that, as well as the name not having anything directly connected to Go-Ranger, such as the word Sentai, and not being directly the name of a Marvel hero already, you can see how this could have been an in-between of ideas as well. They were definitely an original team just like Battle Fever J, but you could also see how they might have been each themed after an existing Marvel hero. You already had the Hulk and Silver Surfer, so those could be two, and then of course you probably could have had Thor based on the fact that there is a Thor-themed villain in the final product of Denshiman. One proposal that was partially implemented into Battle Fever J shows this type of concept, making it totally plausible to have been a plan for Denshiman Trigger. And hell, Marvel did Rangerified versions of their heroes in a recent comic to see how this could have been a thing. One thing we do know about Denshiman Trigger for sure though is that one of its members would have been Princess Denji. But nonetheless, the fact that this was likely a more Marvelified version of Denshiman makes you wonder whether it would have been for the better or worse for the franchise if this had come out. The pronunciation of that is Saurusman if you couldn't tell, and yes, that means it involves dinosaurs just like Zyuranger. And from the date you can also tell that it was supposed to be in the same year as Zyuranger, but we already covered a Zyuranger prototype with 10 Rangers in our first video. So what exactly is this? Well, the name after a little while was switched to Saurusman before being switched back to Zyuranger with another meaning for the word Jew. And it looks like Saurusman was supposed to be just like Zyuranger as a Dino Sentai, but with more defined and complex aesthetics as is seen in proto art. This is the sketch of what Tyrannoranger in Saurusman would have looked like, a little more of a detailed version of his overall simple suit. It was brought a little more to life by this artwork made by Lavender Ranger on Twitter, go support them, but the big thing we would see about Saurusman was its team's mecha. You can definitely tell that it's still got the dinosaurs, but it looks so much more detailed and complex than Daijujin. And these designs look so much cooler than what we actually got in Zyuranger that I kinda wish Saurusman happened to have given the season more of an aesthetical personality. You read that right, Dekaranger 2. This was supposed to happen because if you didn't know already, Dekaranger is one of the most popular Sentai series of the modern day. The coolest thing to think about is the fact that this season probably would have had upgraded suits of some form, sorta similar to Kyoryuger Brave with Kyoryuger. Maybe it would have revolved around SPD Fire Squad, and each different red had its own different suit and they all had one unified armor upgrade, or maybe it would have had all 5 Dekarangers somehow come back together with an upgraded suit kinda like the A Squad suit, but maybe without the Mega Ranger helmets. Any possibility like that would have been pretty cool. The only problem I'd have is if it actually replaced Maji Ranger, as I think soft resetting each year is kinda Sentai's thing and I enjoy the franchise for that reason. But if it was just gonna run alongside Maji Ranger for half the year or something, it was definitely a missed opportunity because Bandai and Toei would have made a lot of money and I'm sure the kids would have loved it. Dengeki Sentai Crossbones clearly bears a lot more in common with the modern Sentai naming scheme than JACA did. The JACA acronym was still supposed to be a thing in Crossbones though, as you can see on the suits, which are early versions of JACA suits. In Crossbones, a villain named Empyrean was supposed to be the big bad behind crime. And Big One wasn't supposed to be a thing at first, which would have given Spade Ace the front role of the entire show. The name bearing similarities to Go Ranger raises questions as to whether or not it would have connected to Go Ranger the same way Kamen Rider did in the Showa era with one another, and that raises questions as to how Crossbones would have performed over JACA. Instead of Sentaiger, during our 45th anniversary year, we were supposed to get Sentaiger. It was supposed to be a direct anniversary season just like Sentaiger and would even have had a similar ranger in the lead. Sentai Red was supposed to look just like Sentaiger, except for the fact that he wouldn't have a Big One theming, instead being entirely Aka Ranger, meaning he would be purely red. The design was reworked into Zenkaiser, although we would thankfully see Sentai Red renamed Zenkai Red in a special series. Now we do know that the 4 other Rangers were supposed to be the same colors and Sentai themings that the Kikanoid Rangers were in Zenkaiger. But if I had to take a guess, I would think that the 4 other members, unlike how they ended up, were actually going to look more Ranger-like and uniform to the rest of Sentai. This wonderful artwork by Satodra kind of illustrates what I'm talking about. The reason I say this is because one other major detail we know about Sentaiger kind of wouldn't have worked with the bulkiness of the Kikanoid suits, and that detail is that the Sentaigers were supposed to have armors based on past Sentai. When using the Sentai gears, they were supposed to get the armors of those past Sentai rather than some sort of power or weapon from them. It would have been similar to Kamen Rider Gio's rider armor gimmick, and we see its remnants within 2 Kaisers Katanar and Riki form. There was also going to be some sort of way for Sentaiger to summon past heroes a la D-End, Bosco, and of course Stay Caesar. Now Sentaiger got cancelled for a couple of reasons. Junko Komura, the show's main writer, did not want 2 reds. The production team found it too difficult to have armors, it was harder to make heroes summoning others work well, and they overall just wanted something more wacky, which Zenkaiger definitely delivered on. But that said, I'd rather have seen Sentaiger since all the concepts sound so much cooler, and as you all know, I don't aesthetically like Zenkaiger at all. Now here we have my favorite of these concepts, Gosei Wars. We know Goseiger today as the 2010 Sentai and not exactly the most popular one. However, it was once supposed to be very different from how it ended up. Goseiger, of course, has its Skyic, Landic, and Seaic tribes within the team. But what if I told you at one point they weren't even supposed to be a team? That's right, Gosei Wars was supposed to feature 3 different teams, one for the Red and Pink Sky Rangers, one for the Black and Yellow Land Rangers, and one for the Blue Sea Ranger. We do know that the Sky Rangers were supposed to fight for the good, the Land Rangers would have been anti-heroes, and the Sea Ranger would have been totally neutral to all feelings. They would have retained some form of unity, though they would probably have more individualization than just the chess symbol. In a similar fashion to how each tribe has its own finisher weapon in Goseiger, they'd probably have their own mini mechas and their own names. In my opinion, it would have been so cool to have seen Gosei Wars come to fruition. I mean, Goseiger already had a gimmicky as fuck toy line. Imagine how that would have been expanded further. And with Goseiger's critical reception not being the best, imagine how this ambitious setup could have changed that for the better or worse. And Gosei Wars just sounds like it would have been peak. I don't know what else to say. You read that right, 2022. This Sentai would have currently been airing if it hadn't gotten cancelled. Saiyukiger, which by the way is a name I made up just like I did with Dekaranger last video, rather than being based on the tale of Momotaro the way Dawn Brothers is, was supposed to be based around Journey to the West. It's a classical Chinese story, and it definitely would have altered Dawn Brothers quite a bit. Our Red would have been a monkey ranger based on Sun Wukong, of course, and I bet the rangers around him, similarly to Dawn Brothers, would have been based off of other characters from the tale. Allegedly, some of Saiyukiger's remnants are found within Dandora Goku and Torobolt, which you can tell from its Chinese mythology motif, but it would be awesome to see what this could have been or see its ideas repeated in a later Sentai, since a lot of people have been launching a Chinese-themed Sentai since Dekaranger. And that about wraps it up, guys. I hope you all enjoyed. Big shout out to the Russian Wanderer. Thank you for helping me gather information for this video. And big thanks to literally everyone for bearing with me through my hiatus. It's been a long ass time, I know. School really fucked me over there. But at least since it's over now, I should hopefully get back onto the grind. So be on the lookout for more videos throughout this summer. And with that, hope you have a great day, y'all. Peace.